Welcome, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are at in the world today. Thank you for attending our training. Our topic is execution, and my name is Connie Armstrong. I will be presenting today's training. I am happy that you have all joined me today to learn about the process of execution, and we will focus on using MyStrategicPlan. It's our web-based tool to help you manage the execution side of your strategic management process. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. Just a little bit about us here at M3 Planning so you know who we are and what we work on a daily basis and why we love to do what we do. Like I said, M3 Planning developed and manages my strategic plan, as well as my nonprofit plan and my church plan. For discussion purposes today, I will be referring to my strategic plan throughout the call. If you are, by chance, a user of one of the other systems, keep in mind all the systems are similar in nature, so you will not be seeing anything differently than what you'll be seeing in your plan. We do work with all kinds of organizations in their planning processes, from in-person facilitation to answering simple questions via either email or the phone. We are really passionate about what we do, about helping organizations build their plans and drive results and be sustainable organizations. We have also worked in the last few years to manage and deploy quite a few strategic planning processes and management systems, as you can see here. We've worked to build consensus and commitment with lots of executives, managers, and boards. We've really enjoyed helping them do that as well. Erica Olson, our COO and co-founder, has authored the second edition of Strategic Planning Kit for Dummies, and this newest edition does include a great resource CD, has a lot of information and worksheets that will help you in the development of your strategic plan. In addition, Erica, as well as many of our other team members, have put together some great training videos where we work through different elements of strategic planning, such as how to develop a mission statement, how to determine competitive advantages, how to execute your plan and such. So lots of options available to you to watch. They're quick, they're short, 3 to 5 minutes in length. Uses a whiteboard to kind of walk you through the various elements of strategic planning. Those are all available under our resource section of our site, so please check those out if you've got a moment. And then also, like I said, if we're not in the office, very well we could be out working with a client. We really enjoy engaging with them, facilitating their strategic plans with them and helping them to develop their goals and cascade them through the system and work with them and help them to be sustainable organizations. So, as we always say, we enjoy what we do. Our agenda today is pretty straightforward. I will start off with establishing an execution schedule and process for your organization. We'll talk about that. We'll get into frequency and tools and reports that are going to help support that process. Then I'll continue with the technical side of the process and how to effectively review your progress and track your key performance indicators using our system. Then I'll also talk about how to set up your team easily following the process with some simple business rules. Then I'll discuss running that strategy review meeting and how to do it successfully. And then I'm going to wrap up today's session by discussing what's next after you've got your plan in place. I will be doing my best to address all of your needs. If I, by chance, don't address something specific, if you do have any questions or comments, please enter them into that chat box in the lower right corner, and I will get to those as soon as I can. And then I will open it up for questions at the end of the session as well. So let's go ahead and we'll get started here. Let's start with establishing that process and schedule. Now here is our process map that we like to follow. This is our 6-step strategic management process that we put together, and we do call this our virtual strategy guide if you hear us reference that at all. Phases 1 through 5, these are the development phases of the strategic planning process. This will take about 2 to 3 months to get through. And then phase 6 here, this is the execution of your plan, and this is where we do spend most of our time throughout the year. We track against our plan, we talk about the plan, maybe modify it if necessary, and then we roll back around to the review of the plan at the end of that year. So now to discuss the plan structure and the process, let's look here at a slide that we've got with the management structure versus the accountability structure. So now let's start off here by looking at the management structure on the left. We do have our CEO here at the top level. They're usually the ones who are responsible for the mission and the vision, as well as those corporate level goals. And they're responsible for making sure that the organization as a whole is working toward achieving those items. Then we've got here the manager level. Now this level, those folks, they're responsible for the department goals for about the next 1 to 2 years out. Now they don't necessarily have to do all the work associated with achieving these goals, but they are definitely responsible for making sure that the goals are achieved. Then next here we've got teams. Now these folks, they're responsible for the team goals for that fiscal year or calendar year, whatever you operate on. And then finally, we've got the staff here, and they are obviously then responsible for the individual goals for that year as well. Now for the accountability structure here on the right, we've got performance measure goals for folks that are at the CEO level, the managerial level, and the team member level. And then we've got milestone status goals for the staff level. Now these milestone status goals, these are going to be tracked by either, say, a percent complete, a red, yellow, red, yellow, green stoplight status. But these higher up goals that are the performance measures, these are going to be tracked, well, I should say these corporate level goals here and the department goals, and sometimes these team member goals. These are going to be tracked possibly with the milestone status or more likely also with performance measures. So then you're going to be using metrics, and you're going to be determining maybe how much revenue you're making for the year, maybe month to month, maybe quarter, how many customers you're selling to, whatever it may be. And then you're going to, we'll talk more here about the differences between performance measures and milestone status measures here a little bit later. Overall, though, you can see here how the whole organization from top level to the staff level has responsibility within the plan and a place within the plan and the plan structure. Next here, we've got two different options for running those strategy review meetings. Now, one option here is our quarterly strategy review. And with this option, in the first 2 months of the quarter, you're going to have an operations review meeting with your core departmental level leadership team and the key staff. And then you're basically, within those meetings, going to specifically look at operations only. You're not going to be looking at the strategy of your plan. And you're going to determine if within the operations level, if everything is on track and going well. And then here in the third month of the quarter, you're going to have your strategy review meeting. Now, this meeting is going to include your senior management team, and you're going to focus your discussions on strategic issues that are going to be chosen or discussed and put on the agenda in advance. Now, also keep in mind that during this meeting, there's not going to be any operations review here. Here you're going to specifically look at those key strategic issues that might be occurring within the plan and maybe something that needs to be, again, addressed within the plan. So maybe you have got a staff member and they've noticed something in the environment that's going to have an effect on the plan. Then that issue should be discussed amongst the group. So this is one option for your strategy review quarterly meeting. So now if we get into the details of how this quarterly strategy review meeting, how those are done, you're going to start out here with your annual plan, here at the beginning of month 1, and you're going to roll your plan out to the group. You're going to answer any questions that they have. You're going to train them on the software and such, and basically overall make sure that everyone's on the same page. And then later here within this first month, you're going to have your department review meeting. Now this is going to take about 1 to 2 hours, and this is where you're going to check in again to see how things are going operationally. Then here in month 2, you've got your next department review meeting. And then here in month 3, earlier in the month, your teams are going to get together for that issue prep we discussed earlier. That's where they're going to bring to the table any strategy issues that they feel need to be discussed amongst the group at that strategy review meeting in the 3rd month. And then also here, the senior management team is going to get together. They're going to do that quarterly review of the strategy and the plan. They're going to meet for about maybe a half a day, and they're going to discuss and make decisions on those strategic issues that were identified by those teams or departments, and talk about any changes in the environment that needs to be reported on. This is where you're also going to be updating your department plans and your budgets for that next quarter as well. Then whether if you've got maybe a board that you need to report to or you just have your staff, this is the great time to put together a report on the session, put together action items and such, and bring them up to date on how the quarter turned out from the top level financial goals at the organizational level down to all the team member type goals as well. Talk about any decisions that were made within the quarterly meeting and how you're going to be moving forward to the next quarter. Now here we've got option 2 for running your strategy review meeting, and this is the monthly option, and we'll do an overview here. This is going to be the process if you, again, do the monthly. Your operations review and strategy review are going to be done within the same month. However, we do suggest that that operations review and the strategy review meeting are separate meetings on separate days, even weeks, so that you avoid blending the two subject matters. Here in the operations review meeting, you're going to do an overview of the plan and a detailed operational analysis to the group. Your strategy review meeting here then, this is where you're going to include the discussion of, again, those strategic issues that were or are identified in advance by the teams or departments, and you're going to be updating the plan as well. So now to get into a little bit more detail of how that monthly strategy review meeting is worked through. You've got your operational review meeting here. Each week, like I said, maybe even the day before you do your strategy review meeting, if you are going to do them that close. And but you're only going to do them once a month. So now if you are going to do them each week, you're going to have a team member or have the team members update their status at the beginning of week 1, and the department leaders will update their status in the latter part of that week. Then the departments will have their hour-long strategy review or operations and strategy review meetings during that second week. And again, that's where you're going to do some issue prep and identify anything that needs to be addressed. And then the senior management team, they're going to have their operations and strategy review meetings in week 3. And then here in week 4, you're going to have your report prepped, and you're going to go back to the team and let them know what changes have been decided with regard to the plan, updates with regard to the plan that have been made and such. And this is where it's really important to make sure you keep that line of communication open to the group so that you're letting them know what's going on with the plan, and so that they feel part of the process as well. And then also make sure that you're also reporting on any accomplishments as well, so that the team feels as though they're making some headway. Very important there. So just as a quick look here, we're going to see again how those meetings are run. Now, a lot of organizations, they start off each week. They've got a quick tactical meeting where each team member does a brief report out on their upcoming week's activities. And then in our office, we actually call that our top 5 meeting. And that's where we each go around the table and we discuss the top 5 or so things that are on our plates for the week ahead that need to get done so we can move forward on other tasks or assist another team member. And then you're going to get into those department strategy meetings. Those can be either monthly or quarterly. And then you're going to get up to the senior management team level here with the executive monthly strategy review meetings here. Another option that we do have some clients working through is, instead of doing that report out to the group on the status of the plan and how things are going to move forward, they actually host what they call a town hall meeting. And that's basically everyone gets together, they verbalize the status of the plan, and report back to them on a personal level. And that, I think, works really well for making them feel as though they are actually a real, part of the plan, and that even though they may not be responsible for any items, they're actually part of the organization as a whole. So it creates a good level, a good culture there. So now to move on to tracking your progress using MyStrategicPlan, our online tool. You've got to determine how often you're going to meet, again, quarterly or monthly. But now you've also got to determine how you're going to track your progress using our software. We have made it as simple as possible and have come up with what we call the idea of distributed execution management. And under this idea, we talk about, we say not just one person is responsible for the updating of the plan every month or quarter. Each individual is basically responsible for getting into the system, updating their goals or action items on their level. And when a goal or maybe action item isn't updated and you're meeting, it is then the responsibility of that individual that needs to be held accountable for not getting that actually updated. So very important there. So now this is, like I said, the part of the management process where everyone is helping to drive results for the organization as a whole. So very important. Now to move on to the 2 ways you can track your goals. We kind of briefly touched base on this. Are you going to track your goals with qualitative measures or quantitative measures? Now, qualitative measures, these are basically just a managerial estimation of the status of the goal or action item. So if you're in our system, we actually refer to that as the stoplight status icon, red, yellow, or green. If it's a green check mark, it is complete. And basically, you're tracking it on a % complete. Now, this is your milestone status that we did talk about again, like I said at the beginning of the webinar, and it's like that snapshot of where you are with that goal at that specific point in time. If you're working through a project and you're probably halfway through it, then you would be 50% complete. The goal would be 50% complete. Now, the quantitative measures here, these are marked as key performance indicators, or Kpis, as we often refer to them. And they're, again, tracked monthly, maybe even quarterly. Now, these are where you're looking at the action or goal and determining whether it's going to be tracked as a sum, maybe such as dollars in revenue, maybe a number of customers, or maybe as an average, maybe for profit margin percentage. Maybe you're going to track it by highest number for customers, maybe a running total, maybe even a lowest number if you're going to track error rates and return rates on products. But either way, make sure a great tip here is to note the source of the data for easy updating of the goal. So something else that's great to add into goals is the frequency. That's where you're identifying the metric as to whether they're tracked monthly or quarterly, so that the staff knows how often they need to get the information, where they need to get it, and update it. And then also more specifically with regard to that frequency, if that metric should be captured on a specific day of the month so that on a recurring basis that reporting is accurate. So now just to go back to this slide again, we're going to talk about who is, again, responsible for what. So here we've got our performance measures. These are, again, the higher level. And tracking goals as performance measures are most likely going to be the CEOs, managers, and team leads. And then when you get down here to the milestone status, these are going to be part of the individual staff goals. Keep in mind some of these higher goals also, maybe that level or the corporate goal level, these may also be tracked using a milestone status, and that's okay. But for the most part, the CEO here is where he's or she is going to track revenue and customer retention and such on a performance measure using that metric. Just to look at something real quick before I hop into our sample plan in our online system. We do have a couple features in our system that may help you with your strategy review meeting. One of them is our strategy alert communication emails. These can be sent automatically to each user, either monthly or weekly, and it's the email basically reports to each user a link so that they can actually, well, the email itself has a list of all their goals so that they can see their current status. And that email also gives them a link that's going to enable that user to click on it and get into their list of goals quite easily so that they can easily update their status in the system and be efficiently prepped for a strategy review meeting. This is also, these emails are a great reminder for the users that they do need to stay on top of their goal status. Most of the reports obviously are only as good as the information that's in the plan, so you've got to make sure that the staff is being responsible and that they are holding to the updating of their goals, so that any time if a department manager goes in to look at a report and check status of a plan, of their plan or department plan, department goals and such, that they actually are getting a realistic picture of where things stand. This email, they're automatic, it saves time, and it also takes the ownership off of the plan administrator or the strategy manager, that higher level individual that is in charge of the overall charge of the plan. because the system sends out the email. So you yourself, as that individual, doesn't have to remember when to send out that email and such. So, and then when you go to our report section, we do have some action plan reports. We've got kind of a sample here, just a thumbnail. These action plan reports are great for your strategy review meetings. We do have them at the department and team member level, and they are great for reporting out status of the goals at a high level, where you can look at also big accomplishments that have happened since the last meeting, so that the individuals can do a quick report out on their goal status during that review meeting. So these reports are really helpful for that. When you're also rolling out your plan to your team, another helpful tool is our cheat sheet that we've got here. It does give some great simple directions on how to get started and get logged into the system. It also talks here about how to add and update your goals and action items, how to update your status and track your progress here, and then it gives some tips on some reports again that you should or could be using during your review meeting, make things go a little bit more smoothly. So this cheat sheet, it is available online, and it will help you and your team get the most out of the system as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and hop into our online tool here. And we're going to take a look at how the process of execution is actually done. We are going to go straight to our track progress section. Real quick, before I do that, though, I do want to make sure I point out here that this is our main page that you'll come to after logging into your plan, after all your goals are entered into the system. And we call this our performance management page, and it's a great summary or an overview of the status of all your goals at the organizational level, as well as the department or team member levels here. So you can find out if any are past due. If there's a lot past due, then time to pay some attention to things, touch base with folks in charge and see where things are and why. You know, maybe you'll see lots are on target, and that's great. Or if you're getting near the end of a quarter and you know that there was a lot of goals with that end date, you know, there are lots of goals that are completed. If so, great. You're doing a good job. Then we are going to go here to our track performance section here and track my progress. Now, right now I am logged in as a plan administrator, so we are going to see pretty much all the goals here. You are going to see we do have the different goals laid out here, listed. Key icons here, these are key performance indicators, and these are the stoplight status goals that are being tracked on the milestone status. So these are the performance measures, and this is the milestone status goals. We've done some changes to the system recently and added in the filter option here. You can look at only organization goals. Maybe you want the department goals. You can select which department. If you want all high priority goals. So if you want to track specifically or pull just those that are past due and such. So great option here is this new filter option. However you do print, or I should say run this report, if you want just department level goals, you can also print this right here using that icon. So you can print a quick report of all just those department level goals. Goals can also be sorted by priority level. They can be sorted by type level here. They can be sorted by the goal numbers themselves. Maybe who is responsible if you want to see them by department. So there's some other great options there for you. You can sort by, again, target, also status, last updated. So all of these columns are actually sortable. So here in the status column, you're going to see now we've got a stoplight status here, even for key performance indicator goals. So you can actually see whether that goal was achieved, and then you're going to see here the variance. So in general, you're going to see who is responsible, what the target is, if there's whatever the percent complete for the year to date is, any due date for the goal, and when the goal was last updated. So at this level, it's a great opportunity for you to get into the system and do a quick review of the goals. I'll just do a quick sort back there. So let's look also here. We've got our goal here of generate sales of $1 million by the end of the year. Administration is responsible for it, and our target here is $1 million. It's now February. Our percent complete or year-to-date figure is $270,000. So we are on target for this goal. So we've got our green stoplight, and this is the difference, the variance to achieving the goal. If you are going to update or do need to update goals, you can click on the icon here, easily update the status. If you need to update any of the month actuals, great place to do that there. And then comments here. And we always encourage you to put the most recent comment at the top so that it is easily viewable in reports. If you do want to update a milestone status goal here, again, select the appropriate status, percent complete for the year to date, and again, any comments, and click Save. And that's basically a great, nice, easy, efficient way for updating these goals. The notes are going to come in handy as you're in a review meeting and such. Just to look here at the scorecard section, we're going to look here. These are our key performance indicators specifically. And if you want to set targets for your goals, this is where you'll do that. If seasonality plays into your organization and maybe monthly income is less during specific months than other months, then this is where you can actually set that target so that on a monthly basis or even quarterly basis you have a better idea of how you're tracking against your target. So here we can see on a monthly basis we were 20,000 short of our goal of 100,000, but on an overall basis we can see here we're at 270,000 against our $1 million goal. So if you are going to update any of these from here, just need to easily click on the box. You can update your actual here. And we will put in that we hit, again, 105,000. So as you can see, it has updated our year-to-date status, and that's how we're tracking against our $1 million goal. So this is where you're going to see or have goals that are being tracked on a sum, like in these numbers here. These are all tracking on a sum to get to 375,000. These metrics here, these are obviously tracking on an average because our goal is to increase average billable hour factor. So here our average is 90 against our goal of 200. This goal is a sum, it looks like. we've got 75 customer or licenses against our 1,000. So again, this is a goal that's being tracked on a quarterly basis. So this is where you're going to track your goals again on that function of sum, highest, lowest number, average, even current number. If you want to know how many specific customers you have on a monthly basis, then this is where, again, this one is being tracked monthly, or I'm sorry, on average. So we've got an average of 3 here. So anyways, that is our scorecard section of our plan. And all of this information in the system, as you do update your goals, it does play into our dash, which is our virtual strategy dashboard. And this is the dash is actually a great visual where you can see how you're performing against your plan. And it's a graphical representation of your plan. And then let me go there real quick. This is where you will access your dash if you've got it activated. Now this is a great report again for using during your strategy review meetings. And again, it does provide a status of your goals, and the goals are only as good as the updates that you have on them. So if I want to see my goal here of that $1 million, here's where we can click on that, see the last 3 months, and then also year-to-date actuals versus targets. So it's a good graphical representation, like I said, of our goals. You can also filter by department. You want to see, you're having your department review meeting and you want to see only your departments. You see these gauges there. That's the milestone status goal, and this is obviously 15% against the target, and it is in progress. You can see performance for the operations department again. So a great option for your strategy review meetings. Other reports that we do encourage you to use, again, during your execution plan review meetings, we've got our, there's the full strategic plan, but we also have the full strategic plan with progress, or the executive summary with progress. So we're going to look here at the executive summary with progress. And we've got our report here, nice and prepped. It does provide all the elements of your strategic plan. And then here's where it will get into the progress at a glance. So you can see listed the goals at the organization level, the measure, target, year-to-date figure, and then any status and variance. So goals in red here, those are marked as high priority goals. So you can do a quick review of the status of the plan, and then here we get into the progress detail, and that's broken out by the 4 areas of the balanced scorecard here. So you've got all your section 1 goals here, and then 2, and then we move on here to the next area of the balanced scorecard with customer objectives and organization goals. So again, a great option for your strategy review meeting. And then we also encourage you, like I said, to pull those action plans. You can do them for the department or team member level. I'm going to pull a team member level here so you can see. Let's pull customer service. We want Mikey's. So I'm Mikey. I'm going into my strategy review meeting, and I have no goals. That's not the best one to report out. we'll go here to the administration department. So here's the action plan for the administration department. And so these are just their goals. Another great option during your strategy review meeting so that you can do a quick report out of the status of your plan for that administration department. So let's see, what else? I think I'm going to go back out to our presentation here. And let's talk about discussing those strategy review meetings and running those. Now, as we always say, running your strategy review meeting, it's the heartbeat of the strategic management process, and it's so ever important. Unfortunately, the reality is that if you don't execute against your plan, if you don't have your monthly, quarterly strategy review meetings, most likely your plan is going to fail. And that's because you've set the goals and you're not tracking against them. Maybe you're making some progress, but you're not actually being very specific and methodical against tracking against those goals that you've set. So this is very important. It will keep your plan alive for the rest of the year, those 9 to 10 months that are left after you develop your plan. So I cannot stress the importance enough of this. So let's look at some specific reports real quick that will help you during your strategy review meetings. And again, I briefly touched base on some of these reports just a second ago in our system. Here at the executive strategy review meeting level, for the CEOs and department level, department managers, the executive summary with progress that I showed you, that's a great report to review, as well as the department action sheet. Then we've also got the dash, and then our strategy review PowerPoint. I will actually, at the end of this, pop into that real quick and show you that. We've also, at the department level here, for the department and individual contributors, these are a list of great reports to use. Again, your executive summary with progress at the department level, those individual action sheets, your dash, and then also those individual action sheets for the individual team members as well. Great opportunity to use those. So forgive me here, let me pop back into our system here. I do want to show you our strategy review PowerPoint presentation, which is another great option to utilize during your review meetings. So provides a quick slide for how to read this PowerPoint presentation, and this is basically a fully prepared presentation. We'll have your title slide based on your small logo that you've uploaded into the system, company name, the strategy review meeting and date. It does provide an agenda. Gets through order of presentation. And then just a couple quick look here at the different slides. So this will also, at the organization level, report out on the status of these goals. So as you can see here, this is a key performance indicator goal, and this is a milestone status goal, these two as well. So you can pull this up, put it on a projector, show it to a large group, and just move right on through the status of all your organization level goals. And then here you're going to get down into the administration department with the individual goals. Well, there's the department goals, I should say. So it's a great opportunity to report out as well. It's going to provide some focus here for the next quarter, and this slide is actually populated via the performance or the dates that you set for the individual goals. So anything that has
deadlines within the following 3 months for the quarter would show there. So again, a great opportunity to have your strategy review meeting and have a great, efficient meeting. So I encourage you to use that. Here is a sample agenda that we encourage you again to follow, and you can. I will actually be sending out a link to access the slide deck and the recording of this presentation, or it is available online as well. But you can access this agenda if you'd like to utilize it. It's always best to start off your review meeting with a quick overview of the agenda and discuss why you're all there together. It's very important to get into that review of the corporate status early on. Let the group know how the organization and respective departments are doing on their key performance indicators. And that's where the CEO, again, comes into play. They'll discuss whether they're on or off target. And then continue on to review each of the departments, discuss their own scorecards, any accomplishments, check out the goals and measures. Basically, you're going to determine whether you're on or off track with them. If you're off track, discuss what needs to be done to make sure that you're back on track. Then it's important to move on to that discussion of those strategic issues or topics that, again, have been brought up in advance. Give a brief overview of the issue, discuss any alternatives to the issue, maybe some solutions and next steps to alleviate it as well. And then at the end of the meeting, do a wrap-up, summarize what decisions were made, what the next steps are, and what needs to be done for any follow-up. So now these are some real quick and easy steps for a real efficient meeting. And again, we're not advocating more meetings. Try to fit this structure into an existing meeting that you have set aside. Sometimes instead of our top 5, where we do a quick report out on the tactical items that we need to achieve in that upcoming week, we do a super quick report out on that, and then we expand the length of that meeting and we move into our strategy review session. So we just lengthen that meeting, but we are not technically adding another meeting to the mix. So now let's start to wrap up today's session. I will go through here a quick, brief checklist here. First off, make sure that you're getting a broad and diverse input from your group from the beginning. See what their thoughts are. See what they have to say about you, your organization, what they need, what they're getting from you, what they're like about your product or service and such. Very important there. Make sure the strategy is personal. Make sure that individuals and staff members, that they know what their role is in the plan. Make sure you're building your strategy so that you can execute against it. Make sure you're determining who is doing what and by when. Publish a year-long calendar. Make sure that these meetings, monthly or quarterly, are on the calendar so that vacations and such can be planned accordingly. Set up your strategy alert triggers. This will only help make things easier for the strategy manager. Will take the strategy manager out of the mix, making the system do the work for you. And it's a great, easy reminder that the staff or team members and department managers need to get in and get those goals updated. Identify the types of measures you need to use. Make sure you're identifying the source of the data and the frequency when you're setting those goals. Very important there. Hold regular, consistent strategy reviews and make sure you're deciding whether you want to do them monthly or quarterly. We're a pretty small-sized office, but we do ours quarterly, and it seems to work pretty well. And then always make sure that you're keeping your plan up to date. very important there. Again, your plan reports are only as good as the information that is within the plan. So now I just want to move on to something a little bit more fun, not that execution is not fun, but so we have a plan, now what? So question we often get asked, so we recently put this together and we call this our game of strategy implementation. And before I get into the 5 keys to implementation here in a minute, I want to take a second and show you this game board that we did create so that we could make the process of execution a little more exciting, a little bit more visual. You're welcome to use this game board in your organization as well. You can print it on poster size and put it in a boardroom or a break room or something so that staff can actually see the progress of the goal. Here in the gray sections, this is the development of your strategic plan. Then we move out here onto the different areas here. So this is quarter 1, and this is where everyone's going to update their progress for quarter 1. Then you're going to have your quarterly strategy review meeting. Here's where you're going to evaluate the results, adjust the goals as needed, update, and then you move into quarter 2 here with updating the progress for quarter 2. So very important, always make sure that you're staying on one of these boxes. You're not out here with the sharks because this is where your plan will fail. So you're welcome again to utilize this, and you can access this via the link to the webinar that I will send out by tomorrow as well. So we've got here the 5 keys of implementation. So let's go through those. First, we've got culture. Think about your corporate culture, and this is really important. We often wonder what type of effect our work has on our clients and their corporate culture. Do we help them with creating or having a culture that promotes inclusivity? Do they have a culture of exclusivity? Does our work with them change that? Hopefully. Are you engaging your staff in the process? Are your employees and your staff involved, and do they have a stake in what's going on? This is all so very important to think about. Next, we've got people. Do you have the right people in the right seats in your organization? Obviously, if you do, you're going to have a much more efficient and happy staff. And so this is where we say that it's great to have your human resource department as part of your planning process so that they have an idea and an understanding of what skill sets you're looking for when they need to fill positions so that they can hire the right people so that hopefully you have less turnover. Thirdly, here we've got resources. Do you have the budgetary resources and the time also that's necessary, maybe even also enough staff to do what you want to do to accomplish your strategic plan? Very important there. And then fourth, we've got structure. Do you have the right type of organizational structure in place? So this organizational structure, it does determine your communication structure. Team members, they need a clear understanding of who they're reporting to and who they need to communicate with if there's questions, if there's issues and such. So make sure that that is laid out clearly. And then finally here, fifth, we've got our systems. Do you have the right systems in place where you can actually implement your plan? Obviously, our online tools is one system that's going to help you develop and implement your plan, but what other systems do you have in place or do you need? How are managers working on a daily basis that's keeping them and their team kind of in sync? Do you have any systems that are going to track accountability for everyone involved so they know how they're doing and how they're measuring up against the system or their plan? Very important there. And then real quick, let's get in here to the
implementation pitfalls that you may come up or may run into throughout your planning process and execution process as well, I should say. And how can you avoid them? So here's some things to watch out for. Annual strategy. Make sure you have more than just that. Make sure you're implementing your plan and utilizing it throughout the months of the year, not just doing that annual review and plan creation come January. So make sure you're not just creating the plan and putting it in a binder and letting it sit on that shelf. Lack of communication. Make sure that you're keeping those lines of communication open and so that everyone feels that they can speak freely and accordingly. Lack of empowerment. Give your staff that feeling of empowerment so that they actually feel a part of the plan and so that they have a role in it. Lack of ownership. Make sure your staff feels the importance of doing their part in the plan so that the organization as a whole can be a success. And then a meaningless plan. A lot of times staff may think that whatever plan is created is just fluff and that they don't want to be a part of something that's meaningless and fluffy. So make sure your plan has importance. Make sure it means something and that when you track against it and you accomplish any of the goals, that you actually can report that back out to the staff so that they know it's not a meaningless plan. Accountability. Make sure, again, you've got that accountability structure in place so that everyone knows who's doing what and by when. Next here, we've got the progress report. Not having those regular meetings so that you can report back to the group to let them know how and where things stand. Make sure you're reporting back to them. Maybe you can't have that town hall meeting, but at minimum, send out a report of what has happened in the last quarter and will be happening in the next quarter coming up. Not considering implementation. Here, a lot of times, the only thing that an organization considers is creating the plan. We kind of talked about this earlier. They don't actually consider implementing the plan, and a lot of companies actually fall into this category. So make sure you're not. Out of the ordinary. A lot of times, plan might be out of the ordinary day-to-day activities, so staff wonders why they should even worry about it. Make sure you're treating your plan as though it is part of being successful, that the goals and action items play into day-to-day activities, that staff can see progress against it, and that there's achievement to the goals. So make sure it is part of the organization. And then lastly, an overwhelming plan. Sometimes plans are built and they are so large and overwhelming. Staff doesn't understand where they should start with the plan, how they should work through it. They don't even know where to begin. So make sure that you've got a nice, simple, strategic plan. Everything's laid out. People know who is doing what and by when they need to do it and such.